do.
You think,
I do think that.
think the tech consultant's losing his mind?
It could, based on 2 years of podcasting, I don't think I have to assume it. I think I can prove it clinically.
Is there empirical evidence? Am I doing the Biden here?
Yeah. I think we can actually use this podcast to track your mental decline.
Great. Well, just, set a red flag on it. And then when they go to take me to the doctor, you can go, here, listen to this.
We got to take you when the white coats come to get you and go, look, I have all the proof you need.
Well, just make sure if you send the white coats, you send tell them to bring an extra large butterfly net.
Yeah. I'll make sure you're also singing "They're Coming to Take Me Away," haha.
Or "Happy Wanderer." I'm okay with either one.
You gonna start this thing, or are we just gonna pontificate endlessly?
Isn't the whole thing just endless? All right. I'll start it.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Welcome again to another episode of Drake and the Maestro, almost relevant and almost ready to take admonishment.
Oh yeah, I got to admonish you. That's right.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. I knew there was something I wanted to do this episode. I just couldn't remember what it was. It's like, man, there's really something I wanted to bring up on the podcast. I can't. Yeah, your inability to tell music apart apparently is the issue here from our Army birthday parade, where you incorrectly stated that it was War Pigs, and then upon sending me the clip for review, I went, "That's not War Pigs. That's something else." So then you discovered that it was Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin.
Well, it was kind of the reverse order in a way, although it does beg the question as whether or not I need to run things by you before putting up on the podcast. But that eliminates the spontaneity, and I'm not sure.
It keeps me from being able to admonish you in real time.
Right. What happened was I woke up after doing the podcast. I woke up and go, wait a minute, that's Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I listened to it like, yeah. So my ability, apparently I have to turn in my my membership as a rock and roll interpreter, because that ability is now alien to me.
Yeah, clearly. But I don't know what happened to you there, but
just call it a senior moment. It
was a senior something.
Yeah, it was embarrassing what it was. But there's an element that's worse than that, and that is it ruined the parade. Once I realized that was just Led Zeppelin, Good Times, Bad Times, I was like, the whole parade is ruined.
My day is ruined.
Yeah, that's just another
something like that.
So that means it was just another Boomer Dad playlist is all it was. That's all they were doing.
Yeah, it was, well, who else was going to watch that parade?
I don't know. Hopefully some millennials and stuff too, and just
no, we're too busy we're too busy working, trying to survive.
Americans in general? I don't know.
No.
Color me. Anyway, that was pretty bad.
There was almost no marketing for it. I didn't even know it was happening until the day after it had already happened.
Right.
There was no marketing for it on social media at all that I saw.
Yeah. I guess it's one of those if you know kind of things, which is it's been on the news channels, they're
right. And who watches the news, old man?
Well, more people apparently watch the fish tank at Leo's pet store.
Right. Yeah. No one's watching the news anymore. No one from my generation watches the news.
No, and then even mine, the big news names have hardly any audience, which begs the question how they can afford to pay those people big salaries. And I'll stop there because anything more would be relevant.
We're getting dangerously relevant here.
But there is a tie-in to this weekend's activity. And
did you go out and play War Pigs for the neighborhood?
Well, I immediately had to, right? So as soon as I realized my mistake, I had to do at least my little bit to make sure that at least my little town got to hear War Pigs once again. And so I took care of that.
There's some World War II vet across town having air raid flashbacks because of the siren that starts at the beginning.
Well, that might explain some of the shooting I heard.
Because
it wasn't me.
Wasn't me. It was the hairy one.
Hey, I mean the monkey.
Not you, the monkey.
So we talk about the regional band that was playing, right?
Yes, the regional band. Every time you say that, I just keep thinking they're not an American band. They're a regional band.
No, it's a regional band. They're not an American band. They haven't made it to American band status yet.
That's right. They haven't put enough Grand Funk on that railroad.
Now, playing for the Army 250th Parade probably gives you some credentials, but
yeah, but is it Grand Funk or is it just regular funk? Because
well, I don't know. These days, it takes Grand Funk to really get anywhere.
It truly.
But if
does.
if you're the band or you're the manager or whatever, and you put that on the band's resume, if you will, right, on the demo,
it'd look better for sure.
It would look better until they actually watch and listen, and then it's like, oh, okay. But I have a related topic.
In related news,
I'm not gonna bore the listener.
Too late.
But as you know, and the listeners may have been able to surmise from discussion, we still do PA, but mostly it's construction and sales of PA equipment.
Yes.
We have a unique patent on some technology, and we sell it to the highest bidder, so to speak. And I had a demonstration and delivery over the weekend, just a few days ago, and it was interesting. I had another senior moment, and it caused. First of all, what is it that the Maestro says? Any machine, if you operate it hard enough, becomes a what?
Wrong enough. If you anything can be a smoke machine if you operate it wrong enough.
That's the phrase that pays. So that's what I did to a brand new subwoofer.
Awesome.
Got it all set up.
You wire it backwards. You irascible.
Oh, worse.
You.
Worse than that. So client's there with all his brand new Ashley equipment, big amplifiers, and we're getting everything wired and set up, and that's great. And I'm putting in our settings into the processor, right? Limiters and crossover points and all that. But pay a special attention to the limiters, because the customer had way more amplifier than the loudspeakers required. And so I'm setting the limiters, being very, very careful. And I had already done it with our equipment previously to do a full-on test. So everything was set, and I was just copying in my settings from our processor into his processor. Shouldn't be a big deal, right?
Well,
it's a big deal when you fail to notice the little yellow dot on the processor that says the limiters are bypassed.
Oh yeah, those are kind of important. Yeah, you don't want to. So did you blow the cones out of the subwoofers
across the parking lot?
Cool. I bet the client was impressed.
It was like wham, and man, it was a big hit. And then rattle, clanky.
Oh, those were expensive.
And so, like a certain Navy person that we know,
your subwoofers are over there.
They're over there and over there. How do I find them? Just follow the smoke trail.
You had blue eyes. One blew that way, and one blew that way.
Whoopsie. Oh,
probably the darkest joke I've ever heard. I won't tell. I would love to tell it on the podcast, but I feel like it might hurt well, most of our audience is young military men, so they might think it's funny. A detective went out. A guy drove himself out of the woods, and Kurt Cobained himself, shall we say, out in the woods.
Right.
And the park ranger and the detective are out there talking, and they're trying to figure out. And he's like, the detective picks up the guy's license, and he holds his thumb over the guy's head on the picture. He goes, "Think that's our guy?" And the park ranger reaches over and takes the license from him. He goes, "Well, he had blue eyes." And the detective goes, "No, his license says he has brown eyes." "No, he had blue eyes." "What do you mean?" "Well, one blew that way and one blew that way."
Dark.
It's great, but it's the only way you get through that job is with some dark humor.
Well, right. As we found out that most occupations, there's a certain amount of gallows humor
that has to go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So fortunately, I had another set of subwoofers.
Definitely fortunately for you and not the client, because the client would have been left disappointed.
Fortunately for everybody, because he's got gigs that start right away, so.
Yeah. Nice going, genius.
I know. Look for the little yellow light. It might be trying to tell you something.
Yeah, look for the warning lights. They might be important for something.
Yellow means caution.
Right. No, it means proceed through the light quickly.
Well, and that's what I did.
Yeah,
apparently that was the wrong choice.
The subwoofers proceeded through the grill quickly.
It was impressive. Yeah, you'll have to see it when you come by. I saved it.
Did you save the video, or do you have the woofer?
I have the woofers.
Yeah, I'm assuming you detached the cones from the magnets.
You can practically shake it, it sounds like a bag full of glass.
Cool, you broke the magnet.
I broke the whole voice coil.
Yeah. You made maracas, really heavy maracas.
If you can shake those maracas, well, actually, you probably could. You're kind of a big walrus.
Yeah, I'm kind of a cross between a walrus and a gorilla in some respects.
So all you have to do is move the cone slightly, and it sounds like a bag of broken glass. So that just means it shattered the voice coil form.
Cool.
The magnetic force was so strong. It
just that's
imploded.
That's just like you, exploding and destroying drivers in new and interesting ways.
Yes,
we had those we had that one test cabinet when we were testing to see if we could put our system in the building that was being renovated.
Yeah, and that nightclub.
Was it the nightclub? Well, it was going to be a nightclub, and then they decided the tenants decided they didn't want a nightclub on the ground floor, which reasonable.
Yeah. Very, very,
and
very
we were testing the cabinet out, and we came back downstairs, and I'm looking at the cabinet going, there's something wrong here, and I realized that one of the drivers wasn't moving.
Right. Yeah. One of them was just welded solid.
Yeah. It turned out later I didn't, I kind of got your attention, and I pointed at it, and you're just like, whatever, we'll deal with that in a minute. When the client had left, and we were packing everything up, I tapped on tried to get the voice coil to move, and it wouldn't move because it had just welded the cone welded the speaker together from getting too hot.
Right. By the way, clients, we've fixed that problem since then. We've now gone to shattering the former.
Right. Now, if you just don't hook them up right, they shatter it, which is way more interesting when it happens.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that was an early prototype.
Right. You have to check that out.
Before we realized it needed more air.
Well, more air, and there was some offset that had to happen in the chamber, because it was running.
Yeah, there was a few things we had to change,
causing the cone to rock and all kinds of stuff. And now that everybody's tuned out, I did go back to that app for the Zombies on a Train.
Oh, right? The Train to Busan, I think is what the movie was actually
called. Train to Busan. Right, because the whole app switched over to Spanish, right? Remember, if you remember.
Right.
Sí. So I'm just cruising through the menu, and all of a sudden there's that app sitting there, and it's all in English. I'm like, oh, do I have a shot? Right? So I click over to the app, and there it is. It says Train to Busan, English dub. I'm like, ooh.
But you tried that last time, and it was in Spanish.
Correct. So I'm like, okay, you're not fooling me. So I did other things, and they're all in English, because before they were all in Spanish.
See?
So I'm like, okay, so maybe finally the time has arrived. So I clicked on Train to Busan, and it started off. It looked good, right? And then dialogue was all in Spanish. I'm like, oh, come on. So, no luck, denied, and denied.
Well, it happened. That happened to me. Something similar happened to me, but it wasn't in Spanish. I've been listening to a book series on Audible that's run by the Jungle website, and and they generally the books will play one after another if it's multiple in a series if you've purchased them all, and so I'm just listening to my various books and whatever, and the one book ended, and I thought it went to the next one in the series. Bookended. And I'm listening to it, and I'm kind of confused. Like, well, this one character died, and there's a new character I know nothing about. It's referencing events that I have no knowledge of, and I just finished listening to the other one.
Was it a Steven Seagal series?
No, it's much better writing than that. Things happen,
sound
and
like
people don't. Well, things happen and people don't fatly go around corners, so it's all good.
Did it start the way my Steven Seagal episode did, just start in the middle?
It kind of felt like it, yeah. Well, what had happened
Who are these people, and why do I care about them?
Right, exactly. Like, what is happening here? And it turned out that Audible, in its infinite wisdom, had gone from book 10 to book 12.
Okay,
even though I own 11. I got Seagal.
Steven Seagal. You got Seagal.
Yeah, I got a cross of Seagaling and your other app there.
Yeah.
It's just like the AI in my book app just decided he doesn't want to listen to the intermediate book. He wants to just go straight for this one.
Right. And then he can go back and fill in the blanks later and be completely disillusioned.
What was happening. I'm like trying to figure out, did I miss a book? Is there like a novella that happens that covers like the gap in time and then we're just moving on? Or And I had to stop. I actually stopped driving to try to figure it out because I was just so confused. It kind of pulled me out of the story.
That's a good thing that you stopped driving to figure it out, at least. That's the mark of a
I don't want to be right. You don't want to be going down the road holding your phone like every other amateur out here.
Imagine explaining that to the NTSB. Listen, it jumped a whole book, and I had to get it right. And of course, the NT they would be
as they're putting the cuffs on me because I've run over a family of 4 in their minivan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least they'll be speaking English.
It changed books. I had to figure out which book was I had gone. I couldn't be bothered to look where I was going.
You realize if that happens, you're going straight to the institution, right?
Oh, it sounds like a nice padded room and all the straight jackets I can wear. It sounds like fun to me.
The padded party room.
All the medication I can handle.
And then just a little more.
Yeah.
No, no gravy for the brain.
You got to get balance. It's hard to get the medication balance right on the first try.
It's very true. Very true.
It's an ongoing process to get your crazy pills just right. My ex would know all about that. Anyway.
Yeah. Nothing like bringing a podcast to the end with, bringing up the ex jokes. Which I was admonished about. Right. I was admonished about that not too many podcasts ago.
Bringing the podcast to a dead halt?
Right. With the X jokes.
Yeah, well, it was my turn. You got your turn. Okay. Now it was my turn. Now we've each had a turn, so no more of that.
All right. So I got a memo here to the generation that isn't watching the news. Because you're saying,
which one is that? Is that millennials? Is that?
I don't know. I'm going to
your generation tends to use the term millennials for anyone that's under 15.
Would you prefer whippersnappers?
Well, at this point, the youngest millennial, which would be my sister, is 30.
Right. Well, and I think what are the generations now going? They've run out of letters, so now there's generation A.
They've gone back around.
Yeah, it's come back around.
We're not even on alpha. We're on beta.
Well, that's somehow fitting for some reason that I can't articulate.
Because you were the boomers, which was Y.
Y?
No, X. You were X. We were Y, right? Millennials are Y. It was my mom was X, I was Generation Y, and then the gen after us was Gen Z, who are now in their mid-20s and early adulthood.
So that would be the generation I'm probably addressing. I'm just going to call them the texting generation. And I'm going to say that not everything should be handled with a text, okay?
My generation is guilty of that too, to a certain extent.
Everything's a text. They get mad. Whatever generation gets mad when you call them, and they say, you could just text me.
That's pretty much at this point, it's everyone under 35.
Okay, so whippersnappers. So here's a tip for you whippersnappers out there. I happen to come across and try to assist a young person with an adventure van like mine. Like I turned mine into a wheelchair van, but this person is like a tiny house camper van kind of thing.
They get the van life.
Van life thing.
Nerd.
Of the same brand that I've got. The mighty blue oval.
I'm still hung up on the van life thing. Continue.
The problem that they had is they bought it through one of those internet charlatans. You know what I'm talking about? You're on the Auto Trader and you're looking for a Hemi, and these things pop up that are kind of related to your search. Well, he was internet searching for adventure vans, of that specific brand, and this one came up, and it was one of those paid ads that they. Even if you filter the
sponsored ad.
Yeah. And those people look out.
Yeah, they're real shysters about it.
Yeah. And they bought the van based on the picture, sight unseen, it gets delivered.
Oh, that's the first that was his first mistake.
Right. Gets delivered, and they're washing it. They're starting to do their build out, climb up with a ladder up to the top to start putting like some of these people put solar panels, all kinds of things on the top to power.
You can put your Starlink up there, your solar panels, maybe a roof air conditioner, depending on the height of the van.
Well, I don't know what pillar that is on the back of the van. Is that a D pillar, C pillar, whatever? The main structure.
D pillar?
Maybe, yeah. Around the door. Anyway, it's the structure around the back, swing out the barn doors, right?
Yeah.
And where it joins the roof and all that.
Yeah.
It clearly had been backed up and hit something low clearance, right? And had folded that all in.
Oh, yeah, like an awning or something, and just
something. Right. And it didn't mess with the structure, but it pushed in the sheet metal.
Yeah.
And someone just popped it out with a mallet and then put a thick coat of Bondo on it, painted it, and shipped it. And didn't put any kind of moisture, rust treatment, no metal prep, nothing. So the Bondo's all cracked and popping, right? Then it arrived that way. Now, yes, you're wondering what does this have to do with texting, right?
Yeah, well, you get to the point already.
Right. So I'm helping this person who's like, "What? I don't know what to do. What do I do?" I'm like, "Well, you refused delivery." Like, I already took delivery. It's like, well, then you get a hold of the dealer and you become relentless. It's like, well, I sent them a text.
You become a thorn in their side with phone calls and emails and text messages.
Right, and you might even need to call. You might need to call the attorney general in whatever area they're operating in and report them and report the transaction. And I told them, listen, you have, depending on the state you're in, a certain number of days to reject it, even if you signed that you would take it as is. Like Illinois has got like 3 days, or other states have different number of days. After committing to a purchase like that, you have time, but time is
because the thing could have been misrepresented even worse than it really was. So in his case, the roof has got major damage to it that wasn't even talked about. So the advertisement that he saw was presented in bad faith, basically.
Correct. Which if he reports it to the proper authorities immediately,
which is why the dealer is ignoring him.
Correct.
Because they know that there's a time frame that if they ignore him, he's just screwed.
Right. And so I don't understand. I was talking to him. I said, well, get on the blower, call relentlessly. And it might mean a road trip in your future, in your very near future, where you drive the van to the dealer and you demand satisfaction. And meanwhile, get a hold of the state's attorney and whatever. And he immediately starts like, well, maybe I just get a body chop and get it fixed and whatever. So, well, those are your options. But,
that sounds like work.
It's like, what do I do if they don't text me back? I'm like, well, they're not going to. Plan on it. They're not going to text you back. Remember,
they're going to ignore you for whatever that time period is.
Right. Now, the Maestro
they don't want the van back either.
The Maestro says there are lots of meetings that could be just an email, and that's true. But there are also texts not one that should be a meeting.
Yes, there are lots of meetings that could be summed up in an email. And there are also a lot of emails that really should be a meeting.
Right. That
road does work both directions.
Well,
you don't want to get fired. You don't want to be fired via email. But I also don't need to be. I don't need to attend a meeting for the mid-quarter, third week production schedule that we just talked about yesterday.
Well, maybe you do. I'll tell you what, though, being fired by an email is certainly not better than being fired by a parrot.
Yeah, that's true. Or out of a cannon.
That was one of my favorite scenes from the movie Survivors, is where Robin Williams gets fired by a parrot.
You have been a valuable asset to this company. So this is not easy for me to say. You're fired.
In the boardroom.
Yeah,
it's great. Important message to the text generation. Well,
and from an automotive standpoint, as someone who drives for a living and has put almost 100,000 miles on their truck that's barely a year old. It's not even a year old yet. It'll be a year old in August. I think it's August or September is when I got this truck, and I've put almost 100,000 miles on this thing. I see a lot of those vans, your style van, all over the place, being run absolutely ragged.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys will drive them into the ground and not maintain them.
Some of them will, certainly.
Most of the ones that are in that market now, I'm trying to be vague on purpose because I'm trying not to be disparaging toward any particular group of people.
Are you talking about the ones that have been used for cargo and whatnot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're using those, and they're using Sprinter vans, and they're using the Mercedes vans, and they will overload them. They back them into things. They drive them like crazy. They don't maintain them. They run them to the ragged edge of usability, and then they trade them in on something else.
Right. And then the van life people are pretty much usually the opposite, where they're meticulous and detailed and make sure they follow all the,
So my point is, if you're going to get a van life van, if you're going to get a van to turn into that, either order it new or be very diligent about where you get it from, how many miles are on it, if it has a maintenance record, where you're getting it from. Do not buy it sight unseen, because stuff like what happened to the person you were talking to will happen to you. Those vans are being abused daily. I see them all the time.
Yeah. And they have a hard enough life as it is if they're maintained, because they're built for the maximum payload and with the minimum weight. So everything's run right at its limit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why when I ordered mine, I overspec'd it for what I was doing. I have a 3/4 ton van, and I'm not putting 3/4 of a ton in it. Not by a long shot.
Well,
maybe when I get behind the wheel.
I just the hotshot market and what you used to do, the custom critical market, is littered with those guys. It's that the new thing now, because you used to kind of run one like that, where the FedEx custom critical trucks and the Panther trucks, where they got a bigger sleeper and they've got a shorter box, and it kind of looks like a semi truck, but it isn't. Right.
That's what we used to run. Yeah.
Those are dying. They're being replaced with just regular box trucks.
Huh? How do they get around the hours driving?
They just sleep across the. They just sleep across the seat.
Is that allowed? I thought you had to have a dedicated sleeping area.
Who's to say he was sleeping in the truck? Who's to say he wasn't in a hotel?
Okay. All right.
That's kind of what they're doing, is they're skirting that.
Yeah, because what we did was basically van life with a payload.
Right. Yes. There are some that have little sleepers that are cut into the front of the box truck, because they're usually buying 30-foot box trucks or 26-foot box trucks, and then they take the first couple feet and make it a sleeper. There is a company that does conversions where they put a bed area above the cab of the box truck. They'll cut a hole in the roof, and you kind of stand up and pull yourself up in there. That's becoming more common.
Sorry. Oh my goodness. I apologize for the outburst.
You should. You should feel bad.
Good luck using that while you're driving down the road. That's you're gonna need a whole case of Dramamine. Oof.
Well, those you're usually used by single operators, not dual operators.
Right.
The few team trucks that are left are still true team trucks, where they have the full setup, like you had, where you have the big super sleeper and then a little box. That market is now oversaturated, because everybody's, you just get into this and it's super. You can make a bunch of money doing this and get a box truck and make $250,000 a year. And
well, you could. I mean, I made way more money than if I had been pulling 18 wheels.
Yeah.
Which is why I did
now it. But that market's now oversaturated.
Yeah.
You've got more supply than there is demand.
That's the way it goes.
And truly. I'm dealing with something that I didn't know I needed to deal with. Apparently, California has passed a CARB law where your truck has to be recertified every 6 months. And they were supposed to do it on my truck. Well, the last time I was at our terminal, they didn't, because the mechanic didn't have the adapter. And I'm not supposed to go to California, I found out, without it.
Well,
and guess where I'm going?
California, here I come.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just, play that one by ear.
That's right.
It's fun.
You'll be fine.
Right. I just get to the border and go, I didn't know anything about that. Obviously,
oh my.
Oh dear. Just
make
shreds,
sure make sure you're wearing your Buffalo Bill outfit.
So just an apron then.
My. Right, exactly. And a smile.
Yeah, I should have brought the leather welding apron from the house. I could have used it.
Yes. That would have been perfect. And those round aviator
goggles.
Hello,
officer. Just a leather apron and ski goggles.
And a Speedo.
Yeah. Sir, I don't even see the Speedo.
All right, let's get rid of that imagery. I got a truth is stranger than fiction story here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it happened. It happened on... Yeah, no. My neighbor goes to the Walmart where there are tornadoes that came through. And so naturally what you would do is you would go to the Walmart where the tornado was. Yeah, it's tornado season.
Yeah, of course. You got to go see what the Walmart looks like now that the tornado's over. It might have done $100,000 worth of improvements. You don't know.
Yeah. in that neighborhood, it could very well have. It's certainly scrambled around the homeless people begging,
well, yeah, he shuffles them up. Now the guy that was on one corner is now on a different corner, and the lady missing the legs now on his old corner. It just shuffles.
Yeah.
It's like a Yahtzee cup where you just put the dice in and shake them up and slam it down. Where you end up.
It's a tornado drill,
Yeah, fire drill even.
So he does the obligatory trip to the Wally World, and where the tornadoes were, and for some reason I that makes sense. It just seemed to fit,
What else so he goes.
He's there, and there's a guy. You've seen the guys with the cardboard box that's flattened out, and they somehow get a Sharpie or in their own blood or whatever, right? Homeless, out of work,
homeless, need help,
right? God bless, that kind of stuff.
Anything helps. Yeah, I've seen them. Usually they're wearing nicer shoes than I am,
right? And driving a nicer car too.
Yeah, but, probably.
Guys, and so he's working the apron in the parking lot at the entrance, and there's some altercation between him and another car, right? And apparently he got in front of this car the driver was trying to drive away into traffic, and this man who was begging got in the way, and the other driver just
some of them get a little aggressive. I don't know why.
So he just ran him down. He's like, I'm not stopping for your sign, which I can kind of also understand a little bit.
Yeah.
And the guy gets up, apparently, according to my neighbor, gets up and starts ranting. And he's like, I'm going to shoot this whole place up. I'm going in and I'm going to kill everybody. And what
does that have to do with the price of tea in China? What does that have to do with what just happened to you?
I don't know, but he was apparently getting very unhinged, right? So my neighbor,
he's baking out in the sun. He's got the DW syndrome.
My neighbor calls 911, right? Because the guy's not calming down.
He's threatening to shoot people.
Right, and he's going to shoot up the Walmart.
You kind of want to take that seriously. Yeah, you kind of want to take that seriously these days.
So the police, he goes in, does the shopping, comes out, and the police are there. They got the guy detained. He was sitting on the curb and muttering, and they got his sign, and and you can tell that he's being humbled, shall we say?
Yeah.
And my neighbor takes his family. They go across the street to the Wendy's, and they're going to have a meal. And he's a real stand-up guy, right? He's a real,
as opposed to a real sit-down guy.
I don't know how to say it. He's a man of character and conviction, and it's rare these days. And I applaud him for that. And he starts thinking about the guys. Man, he's watching the police. They're letting the guy go, and the guy just looks completely humbled. And hopefully realizing that maybe he did get a little out of hand, probably shouldn't be acting that way. That kind of thing.
Sometimes a brush with the law will do that to you.
So my neighbor's like, you know what? I'm going to buy that guy a meal. So buys him a combo biggie bag or whatever, brings it over for him, and goes up to the guy, goes, looks like you're having some hard times here. Have a meal on me. And the guy's like, oh, man, I've had a really tough day. Oh, it's been rough. And somebody almost ran me over. And then someone called the cops on me. My neighbor didn't have the heart to tell him. He's the one who called.
It was him?
Yeah, it was him.
Well, yeah, he might get threatened. He's going to get threatened with violence.
Right. There's no point in starting the cycle again. So that's...
I saw, in a similar vein, talking about those people, because some of them are genuinely, like, I've been to some areas of the country, like Philly and LA, where you can tell they're just down on their luck. They're truly, like, the guy's dirty, like dirty.
Right.
Like the only way you get that dirty is laying. Right. Yeah. The only way you get that way is by sleeping on the ground in the dirt, on the side of the road. Like, that's how you get that dirty.
Right. It's actually gotten into the skin and everything.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll stop for those guys, and I won't give them money, but I'll I'll hand them a drink, or I'll have a.
What do you do? You give them advice? You don't give them money. I just give them advice. Buy low, sell high, young man.
Right. Stay in school, kids.
Don't do drugs. Too late.
Too late, man. No, I usually give them a drink. Like, I gave one guy a soda and a water and a bag of chips or something, and usually they're super grateful, But they're 9 times out of 10 super skinny, just like, because I'm not eating whatever. But I'm in Champaign, and these 3 ladies had set up on the one side of Prospect over by the Steak and Shake. And to say they were portly would be a gross understatement. One of them was in a mobility. One of them was in a mobility scooter.
So you got three walruses hanging out on a rock near the Steak and Shake.
Walruses is generous.
Uh-oh.
They are land whales. Uh-oh. You could have told SeaWorld that their belugas escaped and they're stuck on the side of the road in Champaign, Illinois, and they would have believed you.
Did you call SeaWorld Transport to come and help them out?
I thought about it. But and they've got a sign up says need food, anything helps.
Okay, that's not going to work. That's just not going to work. Try something different.
Yeah, they're all sitting in brand new lawn chairs. Just like, okay, no, I don't believe you. There's no part of this that says we need money for food. There's no part of what you're doing here that says help me, please, other than help me to the nearest doctor before my foot falls off.
I have a scenario that's just come to mind that explains it. You ready?
Sure.
All right. If you're in that situation and you have to beg, you probably qualify for Medicaid. If you qualify for Medicaid, you qualify for the
food stamps.
For food stamps, the food card, and a monthly stipend as well, right?
Yes.
I will bet you that they've eaten their way completely through it and are now going through some serious withdrawal and need coffee and crullers stat.
Oh, they don't need coffee. Like, I'm one to talk because my diet mostly consists of brown, various shades of brown.
If you rub your if you rub your meal on the paper bag that it comes in and it turns clear,
right?
You might need to make some different menu selections. Yeah.
It's that kind of diet. Well, my menu selections are kind of limited to what's at the truck stop. But when I get the chance, I eat vegetables. I take multivitamins to kind of offset the lack of nutritious food that's available. I get grapes and strawberries and stuff when they have them, and bananas and stuff like that. So I try to offset my crappy diet somewhat. But I recognize a fellow land whale when I see one. Okay.
Oh yeah, that follows.
And if anybody gets to make fun of them, it's me.
Everybody else, back off.
I get to take this one. I get to pick on them and go, listen, you fat. I was going to say some other words, but I'm not gonna, because we're on a family-friendly podcast. Yes, listen here, you walrus. I need you to. What are they? There's a term for the way a walrus locomotes. I don't know what it is.
It's not a
There's
waddle,
a term for that.
Yeah. Right.
Well, because they galump is the best way I can describe it. They galump their way across the landscape there. They just kind of hop. They do that hop worm thing.
Right.
And we'll just use galump because I like that word. It's fun to say. You need to galump yourself over to the produce section of the Walmart and learn how to make fresh food for yourself and stop buying it all in a pre-packaged box because it's easy to just throw in the microwave and heat it up.
Right.
Put down the Hot Pockets and the Salisbury steak and step away from the frozen section.
Yeah. Pretty much anything pre-prepared that you throw in the microwave is not.
Within a few exceptions, anything that's frozen that you're going to throw in the microwave and heat up is not good for you.
Yeah. No, it's okay for, once in a while, that kind of thing, but
you've just worked a double shift, you're dead tired, don't really feel like standing on your feet anymore to cook something. You're going to just throw something in the microwave and heat it up, and you'll, and tomorrow's your day off or whatever, you're just tired. Yeah. Fine. Once in a while, fine. If that's your only source of nutrients, you're gonna die. You're gonna look like a Scouse kid from the 1700s who's got rickets and scurvy because he has never seen an orange his entire life.
Yeah.
Your skeleton's gonna be all weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're bringing down the listeners here.
You're bringing down the monk, even?
Yeah, bringing down the monk.
Sorry, I get real, there's just something about that really triggered something in me of just, the thought of these 3 walrus women just sitting on the side of the road begging for food Just
yeah. Well, and before we go,
like a fat kid at Kmart.
No, you're just not. If that brings up my 11th commandment. Drake's 11th commandment is thou shalt not kid thyself.
Oh, totally.
So be aware of what you are, who you are, and how other people may perceive you. And if you're a walrus, don't be out there begging for food. You got to use a different tack than that. I mean, they would probably be better off begging for meth directly. Because
just money. Don't even ask for the food.
Right.
Just ask for the money. It's more believable.
Right. Homeless, out of work, please help, whatever you got to do. Because I mean, if it's meth, people are going to look at them and go, you know what? Meth could actually help them.
Yeah, that might be something they need.
Slim you down a little bit, so you don't sleep for 4 days and your heart explodes. You'll trade one set of ailments for a different set of ailments.
Trade one crippling problem for a different one, but at least it'll be interesting.
It'll be an adventure. Yeah. And before we go, I have a Channel 4-ish situation. If you remember Channel 4.
Channel 4. Oh, I remember Channel 4. It's hard to forget Channel 4.
Right. As a matter of fact, the customer's fiance who came to pick up the PA was a paramedic. And I was relating to her the Channel 4 situation. She was dying because she's an EMT.
Channel 4. It's Channel 4.
It's like, and where were they trying to land? Where did it happen? I'm like, just right over there. This pointing. It's just across. I was like, I felt like stepping out on my patio and just going, Channel 4.
Getting a bullhorn. It's Channel 4, you idiots.
Right. And so I'm watching one of my cop shows, and there's a lead cop, and then there's another cop pulling in behind because they're going to do a felony stop.
Is
really tired. And the lead cop is walking up and he keeps grabbing the microphone, and you get that stutter tone, right? Like on the trunk Motorola's. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a tritone or a triple tone.
Yeah, it's like a tripling at you. It's because the frequency is already occupied. Someone else is already speaking, right? And so I started listening, and it's the guy behind him, right? And the guy behind him is calling in the plate. Like, it's going to be Kilo November.
Being called in by a slow Walrus.
Yes.
And so the sloth just follow.
And so the cop yells at the other cop behind him.
Just turns around and yells at him.
Yes.
Shut up!
And I'm listening to the radio call. Alpha. You can hear numeral 1.
You can hear the other cop over his radio.
Yes.
through the first cop's radio. The first cop's yelling at the second cop, and you can hear him yelling at the second cop over the radio call. Clear the channel, idiot!
So finally the cop yells at the other one. He goes, fine, you call it in. And he walks up to the car to deal with the driver. 3, numeral 7. You can still hear it. I think I would have lost my mind.
Sad.
Exactly. It's a total Sam Kinison moment there.
I just walked over and slapped the microphone out of his hand. Sit there and shut up.
I know you just went through the training about clear communications on the radio, but you need to step it up just a little.
It's like someone took the record. He's a record on a record player. They forgot to turn the speed up.
Yes. Can you imagine being behind that guy in the drive-thru? He's ordering for his entire family.
I'm like a large number 1 with a
That might explain some of those fast food suicides that have been in the news.
God. I swear that's how people in front of me order. I swear that's how they order. I've come across the John Panette get where he's talking about being behind people's line. It's McDonald's. They've had the same menu for the last 20 years. They have pictures. Just point. I knew what I wanted before I parked my car. Like, what are you doing?
Ask me anything. Left to right, up to down, back to front.
Right to left. I'll tell you. What do you want to know? Get out of line. If you're not ready to order, don't step up to the register is all I'm saying. If you don't know what you want, don't step up to the register. Let the big back that knows what he wants go to the register and order.
Thank
and if you're going to go to Subway, don't order a salad on a bread.
What?
One piece at a time.
What? A salad on a bread? What? What's that?
Salad on bread. I was behind this guy. He's of a particular religion that doesn't eat meat.
Okay.
So he's got well, they don't eat land meat. They'll eat fish.
Okay.
He's got tuna on his sandwich. Right? Fine. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what your dietary issues are. Right? But then they put the meat and the cheese on the sandwich and they slide them over to the vegetable side. Right?
Yeah.
And then the guy proceeds to order every single vegetable they have one at a time.
Oh, man, you just got to tell him, throw the garden at it.
Right. He's like, well, I have to have some olives. And then he'll wait for them to put the olives on and some green peppers. And then they'll put the green peppers on and then some spinach. And they'll put the spinach on. And then they'll put the lettuce. And he's like, and some lettuce. And they're just looking at, and I at this point, because she's the girl that's making his sandwich is the only one that's working there because it's like 2 a.m.
Right,
I am boring a hole in the side of this guy's head.
Was he a cop by any chance?
No, it's another truck driver. But just boring a hole in the side of his head, just staring at him, willing him to go faster.
Did he notice the smoke from the
I don't know. It's just like, come on, man. Come on. Just say you want one of everything and just let her do it. Why are you pretending like this is some kind of decision? You know that's what you want. Just order it. You don't have to pretend there's some great air of mystery about you and what your Subway order is going to be. Just do it. I swear that's what people want. They walk up to the counter to order something and they want this air of mystery and undecidedness about them before they give their order. The person that's behind the counter is making a minimum wage. They could not physically care less about what you're about to say. They would rather drill a hole in the side of their head than stand there and listen to you.
Right. Yep. That's right. And on that disappointment, it's time to go for today. Tune in next time when the Maestro says...
That's your problem. You're the editor.
All right, then. And if you need to contact us, once again, it's DrakeandMaestro at Outlook.com. That's Drake, not the Maestro. It's just DrakeandMaestro at Outlook.com.
Get the email right, you old man.
How
are people going to contact us if you can't give them the email? How are people going to contact us? Boy, you really wound me up at the end of the episode here. You really got the fire going.
So Drake and Maestro at Outlook.com or on X when the Maestro's wound up and checks it.
What I remember.
So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
Adios.
Arrivederci. Hasta la vista.
Adios.
Adios, muchachos, caballeros. Will you get out of here?
Wow. Yeah, you really got.
I really got going on the end.
Well,
there.
I think the rule is don't get between the Maestro and the sandwich. I think that's
don't get between a large man and his food. It just won't end well for you.
Yeah. That's like trying to take away the food dish. The food bowl from a pit bull. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, you're gonna come back with stumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely there's definitely some times where I've just wanted to take someone's head, just bash them into the register repeatedly while they stand there deciding what they want to order.